Okay, so I guess that we're live. Hello, everybody. My name is Maria, and I am your host for today. I am here at Devexperts Sport. So actually, I'm not at Devexperts today at the office. I usually work from home, and today my neighbors decided it was a great idea to just redo their entire house. So there might be some background noise because I had to move somewhere else. So I am sorry about that. But either way, welcome to all of you. We always start these online DX Talks by just saying where we're from. I always love knowing where everyone is from. I can see that we have someone here already from Porto, which is nice. I am also here. So just let me know in the chat where you are, where you're from, just so we know. We usually have a lot of people from Portugal because we're located here. But we also have some people from other locations. I've been noticing in the past DX Tech Talks, we've had people from like Serbia and even, I don't know, Kosovo. We've had some people from Estonia, Lithuania, which doesn't always happen, but it's always interesting to see. I am seeing now some people from Braga, from Lisbon. That's nice, Braga. I am from Guimarães, so I guess we are enemies according to the world. But it's a beautiful city, Lisbon, also Portugal, Tbilisi. Yes, we also have some people here, Tbilisi, Jordan. Yeah, we have a lot of people from Tbilisi today. Uzbekistan, that's nice. Very nice. It's on my list of places to go. So it's nice to see that we have some diversity. It's really cool. Okay, so if you want, you can just keep on telling me where you are from or where you're watching this from in the chat, and I will just take a look at it because I love knowing where everyone is from. More people from Portugal, great to know. In the meantime, I'm going to start introducing Devexperts and dxTech Talks, but I will keep an eye out on the chat, so keep sending it to me. So, welcome to dxTech Talks. They are a series of free tech meetups that are organized by Devexperts. If you don't know about us, we're an international fintech company, and we specialize in development of financial software solutions and services for the global capital market industry. We were founded in 2002, and we have R&D centers in so many places like Jersey City. We have one in Porto, Vilnius, Munich, Dublin, Tbilisi, Sofia, and Istanbul. That's why, you will see people from Portugal a lot here, Tbilisi as well, because we have offices in these locations. And we launched this project to the DX Tech Talks to be more in touch with the tech community, to share our expertise in fintech, discuss some of our projects, our technologies, our tools, also give people the opportunity to uh, tell us more and about what they do and expand their public speaking skills. Besides online, we also have tech communities in Portugal, Georgia, and also Bulgaria. We organize in-person events in these locations. So if you are from there, you can join us at an in-person event maybe next year. If you want to stay up to date with all of our events, we post them all on social media, so you can follow us. We post them on Meetup as well, Eventbrite, and then Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So follow us to make sure that you are always in touch and just know about upcoming events. And today we have two talks. They're around 20 to 25 minutes each, and then at the end you're going to have some time to ask questions. But if you have them in the meantime, you can also just put them in the chat, and I will read them to our speakers at the end. Our first speaker of the day is Maria Castillo, also known as Majo. She is a junior QA engineer at Devexperts, and she was previously a teacher, so she has some background in educating. She has also was kind of forced to have this empathy and background in knowing about that. And so today she is going to tell us more about some of the leadership skills she's learned over the years, and also, how communication and trust are in the core of every great team and every meaningful result. Maria, or Majo, as she prefers to be called, started as a trainee here at Devexperts not so long ago, and she's had an amazing result. So, Majo, welcome to on stage. You're already sharing your screen, but I can see myself. Um, but yeah, good luck, and you're going to do amazing as always.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria, and thank you for this invitation, of course. And welcome everybody to this Devexperts Tech Talk. We are going to talk about patterns of trust. We're going to see how our brain works with patterns and from, of course, a QA view. Please feel free to call me Majo or Majo, as you pronounce here in Portugal. First, our today's mission is to upgrade your trust radar. What are patterns? How our brain recognizes patterns? Why trust defines quality? How humans create trust through these patterns? The three patterns of trust, how to strengthen the trust patterns, and how leadership grows through awareness. That's the agenda today. First, let me talk a little bit about myself. I studied mathematics. I was searching for logic in a really chaotic world. Then I spent almost a decade teaching people that hated math. So I need to use all the empathy that I have and make something super complicated in something easy. Then I work as a customer service where, of course, you only need to be empathetic and logic really is not important in that way. And then I joined Devexperts as an intern and I was expecting that it will be like simple or easy task. And then I start recognizing myself better. So I'm a mixture of sugar, flowers, and all the nicest things. First of all, what are patterns? A pattern is something that repeats. It's a signal inside the noise. Sometimes it's really easy to recognize, and other times it's not that easy. As you can see right now, it's really hard to know which the next square will be. Now, our brain works with patterns because we need to save energy, we need to survive, we need to bring some logic into chaos. If I show you this image at the beginning, you will see only a tree. But in a matter of fact, if I can show you now this line, you can see two faces. And that's how our brain works, looking for patterns. Once you start notice the pattern, you cannot stop noticing. Now, our brain will look for order in any chaos. They will try to figure out what is happening. And that patterns will help us to learn and to adapt. It happens everywhere in our life, in our job, in our everything that is related with us. Now, we can take that logic to empathy, and that will give you a new perspective. And is your brain using those patterns? Our communication is always a pattern. I'm Latin America. I'm super energetic. I'm super expressive. I'm very passionate. And I had to start knowing that in a multicultural environment, as real expert, that's not doesn't have to land in the same way. So I need to see how they communicate to communicate in the same way, and that way the communication will be better and they will understand the correct message. Of course, it will also help me to learn faster because once you see a pattern and you recognize that pattern and you can see an order inside the chaos, then you are not in survival mode. So in that case, you will start using your brain for learning instead of surviving. Now, why trust defines quality? Well, if you see here, you will see a triangle in the middle. But in a matter of fact, there is not a triangle there at all. Actually, it's our brain trying to look for something that you can recognize already. So this trust that has your brain to recognize the triangle begins small. You start having some experiences that give you trust. And when you have trust, you have confidence. And of course, when you have confidence, you have a better quality because when you are sure about what you're doing and how can you do that, then your quality, of course, improves. Quality starts where trust begins. You only need to trust once with a little thing. And after that, you will feel confident enough to have a better quality in everywhere, like your job or even your life. You can trust me. This works this way. Now, these trust and these patterns, of course, that affect the teamwork and how the team communicates itself. Every role will depend on mutual trust because in a delivery, for example, we are trusting that the developing department will do their part, QA will do their part, the BAs will be there. If you have a question, if you have any doubts about something, even if they answer late, you will have the answer. So you're trusting that. And that trust, of course, that affect the teamwork. And when you have trust enough in an environment, then you can have or you can provide honest feedbacks because you feel in an environment where you can be confident enough to tell what you think without being misunderstanding. And of course, that will improve results. You will feel safe enough to communicate. And if you communicate and you feel confident enough to communicate anything, then the team will be stronger because there is no other way to be. Of course, the teamwork makes the dream work as always. Now, as humans, we not only have like trust. No, there is a human pattern of trust. We need to receive with a small part, with small steps, confidence from anyone. For example, if you see someone that always arrive early, the next time you arrive to the office, you will always expect that that person arrives before you, right? Because you have trust in that. And those small acts will tell you that no, this person is always on time. This person is always early. And of course, as a leader, if you are a great leader, you will recognize the strength and not just tasks that are done, because you will see the pattern in each person that is part of the team. And that will make you to make better decisions about who needs to perform or execute any task. This growing will begin only when people believe in each other. And that begins with trust that started recognizing a pattern in our team. Of course, we are humans and we will trust in those acts. Now, trust is not something simple. There are three patterns of trust. The first is the most easy one, is the visible pattern, like documentation. Then you have the invisible pattern, that is the tone of voice, or what words do you choose when you will communicate with other people. And the distorted one, that is my favorite. So I will leave it for later to explain you what is this related about. Let's start with the first one, that is the visible pattern. This is the pattern that you can, it's something tangible. You can search for that. You can have them in any place. For example, we normally use in our company, we use documentation. Some people doesn't like documentation, but the truth is that documentation, it's something that you rely on. You can look for that. Even if it's online, it's something tangible because it's there. Examples of these are like Confluence, where you have all the documentation, or Jira, if you want the historical of a feature or a new epic, for example. So this is tangible. It's something that you can look for that. You can look for it, you will take it, and you will have the documentation there. So you trust that. Then you have the invisible pattern. This is a little bit harder to recognize because it depends on several things. Your body language, your behavior. In this case, Snape is congratulating or is clapping for something, but do you believe him? Is he really happy? Is he really congratulate you for something? I don't think so, because that's the invisible pattern. It's the tone of voice. Which words are used? How is your body language when you communicate with other people? So, tone, timing, empathy. If someone is talking to you and they are like super in a hurry, like talking like they don't have time, yes, of course, I'm happy for you, but I need to go already. You see that perhaps they are not paying attention in that, because you're recognizing, okay, that person it's really hurry. So that's invisible. That person is not telling you that, but it's what is happening. And that trust that you will have in your work, in your team, or how you execute your task will build will be built through a small moments. As an intern, I was really worried at the beginning. And when I started as a junior QA, of course that I will continue worried. But I start doing something. I start seeing how my colleagues execute their task, how they perform a release note or a feedback ticket. So I was between what I learned, what I read, and what were their style. When I start recognizing the pattern to execute some task, for me, it was easier, very easier to execute them. And I feel more confident about myself. So of course, the quality of my job improved a lot. Words matter. Remember this, because words are they matter enough, but the tone matters more. Because it's not the same that I tell you, "Oh my God, you look so pretty," or I tell you, "Yeah, you look so pretty." Wow, it's not the same. So it matters, and there is an invisible pattern there. Now, my favorite one, the distorted pattern. Some of you, if you see this image, you will recognize an old lady, but other will see a young lady. You are both correct. None of you are wrong. It's just an appreciation. And let me tell you something. In my case, it's been amazing when I have two different points of view about some specific doubt that I have, because it learned me to think in a different way. And that is the pattern that we need to recognize for everyone. If I know that one of my colleagues recognize better defects, then perhaps if I'm not sure about a defect, I will go with him because I recognize the pattern that he is good seeing defects and detecting defects. So I will trust on him. That perception will change everything, because there are people that is better for writing test cases and other are better for detecting defects. So that perception changed the way every task is done. But at the same time, we normally have this erroneous perception that because we have different perceptions, one is correct and the other is wrong. And perhaps it's none of them, as I show you with a picture. So when this kind of misunderstandings replaces communication, then an issue could start, and perhaps the trust will be affected. So clarity prevents that distortion. If you have doubt, if you're not sure, it's always better to ask. It's always better to put your point of view and to try to understand the other, because it will enrich you 100%. You can say whatever you want, but the meaning of what you're saying is not that simple. And I will give you a real world example that happened to me here as a junior QA. I have a doubt about a requirement for a task, and I asked directly to my team lead, "Hey, I have this doubt," and I paste the requirement. And my team lead answer, of course, English is a really tricky language. So because of the language barrier, there are words that are pretty similar and in present or past tense, like read. Read in present, it's written the same way as read in past tense. So I asked my team lead, "Hey, I have this question about requirements." And the only answer I got was read requirements and the answer of my question. At first time, I thought that my team lead were saying like, "Come on, read the requirements." Like I shouldn't ask that question. But then when I talk with my team lead, they tell me like, "Oh, no. I was telling you that I read the requirements. So yes, this is your answer." I didn't keep that for myself. I talked with my team lead. I didn't allow the distorted pattern to be against that, but helped me to understand better. Then, how can we strengthen the trust patterns? First, Awareness over authority. It's so much reliable a person by their actions that just for a title that you could have on paper. I will rely on you because what you do, not only the what level do you have in the company, and that's important. Second, always observe before reacting. As I mentioned, I could react and I could, for that sentence that my team lead sent, I could say like, read requirements, and I will be like, oh my God, okay, but I read it. I just had the question. So I observe, then I think, let me think, because read and read are written the same way. And this is a written communication. So perhaps I need to ask. And I didn't react like, why are you telling me this? Of course, clarify early. I didn't keep that for myself. I talked directly with my team lead. So when everything was clear, I felt better and I trust about my job because I wasn't wrong. It was a normal question. Of course, the quality of my job improved. I felt in a very safe environment and I could work better. I wasn't in that surveillance mode, but okay, now that I understand this, how can I improve it? And of course, be consistently reliable. As I said, you won't trust in some words or what people tell you. You will trust on their actions, the small ones, the constant ones. If you constantly go to run every morning at 7 a.m., you're running, and someone is looking for you at 7:30 a.m. on Wednesday, they will say, oh no, they are running because they are wrong at 7 a.m. So be consistent will lead you to be reliable, of course. Now, talking exactly about leadership, leadership is a really good topic that of course we will have other tech talk about that. But in this little small moment, I want to talk about how these patterns match with leadership through awareness. Okay, first, I need to share something with you. I work in an environment where my direct boss always react first, never think when we have questions, sometimes didn't listen to you, just give you an answer. And we have another teammate that she always was available for listening. She thinks if she didn't have the answer, she didn't react at the first time. She was just like, give me a moment, let me think, and I will give you an answer. So their actions and how she always acts make us believe that she was the leader, even when our boss was the boss on paper, because leadership is awareness in action. And of course, that empathy that she has for listen every time that we need it, for help us with every doubt that we had, turns, of course, into connection because we can trust her and we didn't feel alone. And of course, at the same time, she was authentic because she wasn't follow like, okay, I am not the boss, I will not help people. No, she was like, no, if I can help someone, I will help them. I have more experience, even if I'm not the boss, so I will help them. And that make her authentic because we wouldn't say like, well, she's not the boss, perhaps we will not listen to her. No, we listen to her, even when she wasn't the boss. And we trust her a lot because she was authentic. And that empathy that she had makes her feel safe. And that is not a hard skill. That is not something that you learn in a university because hard skills are necessary, of course. But that soft skills help us to be more safe, to be trust, to feel confidence in our environment, to ask any question that we have in our head. If our boss couldn't listen to us, she will listen to us and we will have someone, and that improves the quality of our job 100%. And of course, true leadership grows through consistency. If I listen to you once and the other 10 questions that I have, I never answer to you or I don't have time for listening to you, then I won't believe that you will be there when I need it. What I will say is like, well, they listened to me once, but I don't know if they will listen to me the next time, right? And I have this quote, that this quote is like one of my best. I will recommend to you to read some books about Stephen Marcovy. He's a really good writer, and he connects everything with the real world. So trust is the one thing that changes everything. And here again, I will give you a personal experience. When I was a teacher, I used to talk big students like 19, 20 years old. And there was one student that always reprove and reprove and reprove. And even the principal talk about this student as he was dumb, that is not a correct word or whatever. And I was like, I will use another type of psychology thing. I talked to him and I told him like, hey, I will give you one task to do. During the exam, you will verify that no one is copying, okay? That no one is trying to copy the answer. Just because I trust on him for that little task, he started to pay more attention. And now he started to study even more. It's the same in our jobs as an adult. If your team lead give you a task, a little bit more of responsibility, they trust on you to do that. And you will do your best and you will feel more confident about yourself. If you want to continue getting deep, because this is a really big topic that I 100% love, and I spent the last 15 or 16 years just reading about patterns and how to talk with people, I will give you these books that you can read. The first three, I completely read it. They are amazing. I recommend it 100%. The last one, I started like 3 weeks ago, so I haven't finished. It's really good also, but I haven't finished it. But they are good. You can get more deep into patterns. I enjoy this world, of course, because once you recognize patterns and you gain that trust, there is no going back. You will improve 100%. And this is the end of my task execution. I hope that it passed for you. And thank you for listening. And let's keep in touch. Please be aware of my LinkedIn. And I hope that you really enjoy this presentation.
Thank you so much, Maria. That was great. We already have some questions. Well, I'm not in tech or anything, but it was also like I can still use it even though I'm not working in tech. So that's cool because, a lot of people can use it. We have some questions. So one of them, and guys, please feel free to add your questions if you have any to the chat. But we have already someone that asked to mention some books. I noticed that this question was asked before you mentioned books, but maybe you have some more
Okay.
that you would like to share.
Yeah,
So if you do, I don't know, maybe you don't have them in hand, but I don't know if you know of any books.
yeah. I'm sorry. I lost you for a minute.
Oh, okay, I
I lost
froze.
you for a minute. I'm
But
sorry.
did you hear the question?
Yeah. I heard the
Okay.
question. Besides the books that I already recommend during the presentation, I will recommend to you one that is like the basic one for starting to understand how our brain works with other people. Doesn't matter the culture, it doesn't matter the country you born, it will work the same. That is how to make friends and influence over people from Andrew Carnegie. I will recommend it 100%. It's a really good start. And my favorite one, of course, that I mentioned him, Stephen M.R. Covey, The Speed of Trust, because that specific book, The Speed of Trust, talk about how trust transforms teams and results. One of my favorite ones too.
That's cool. Okay. We have one comment that goes, "This is all great advice. Thank you for your presentations. I do have one question about interpreting people. What can I do when I'm not sure how to interpret someone's tone?" This is a good one.
Wow, this is a really good one. Actually, yeah, it's really good. First, it happened to me with my team lead. The first thing that you need to do is to ask. Always ask. And the correct question to ask because we don't want that people feel like attacked, is to say like, oh, I'm not sure if I understand what you're saying. What are you referring to? In that way, you will clarify everything.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So if you guys have any more questions, I feel like usually when there aren't many questions because you explained everything very well. But guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to take this time. I will take the time to ask you a question myself. It's how can someone get better at noticing these patterns in communication, especially, some people could be a bit challenged in this area, especially maybe if you have some kind of I don't know, like problem with understanding other people's reactions to things. So, how can someone get better at this?
It's super fun, that question, because it's on the book that I mentioned about MR Covey.
Mm-hmm,
And is first, your brain works with patterns since the beginning. It's the way we survive evolution. It's the way we save energy in our history from prehistoric times. So the first time is to start paying attention. Okay, what is the word that someone is using most? If someone talks to you, and we use words like listen to me, it's because that's a person that prefers a verbal communication.
mm-hmm,
Okay, but if someone talks to you and says like, look at this, see this, it's a person that prefers written communication. So the first thing that you can do is to pay attention. Also, if you have someone that the words that they are always using are related with sentiments, like I feel like, I'm worried about, that's a really kinesthetic person. So the best way is a soft way. Don't be too direct with that person, because emotions defines this person.
mm-hmm. This is great. Okay, thank you so much. We have one last question, which is like a more opinion question. Best ways, in your opinion, how you can build trust as a trainee where mistakes are bound to happen, and it may disrupt reliability.
Whoa, this question touched my heart. This question touched my heart 100% because it happened to me. When I started as an intern, I always felt worried because I never knew if I was doing something good or bad. It was my first experience in IT. So I cannot be sure. I didn't have anything to take, not even visible trust or invisible trust or distorted trust. I didn't have anything until I start doing two different things. The first one, asking other interns what they were doing, because it gave me a better point of view. What are you doing? How are you doing this? I didn't have experience. Perhaps they have more experience in other areas. That was the first one. And the second one, I was myself. Okay, what type of QA do I want to be? I want to work in automation, or I want to be manual? Okay, I want to start with manual and then I will pass to automation. I started looking for any information available for a junior manual QA, any information. And when I matched that with the experience of my colleagues and what I was experienced, I start to recognize the pattern and how they match. When I see how they match, of course, I have more trust because I can make stronger decisions. Like, this is the way this is done. And even if I was mistaken for any reason, I could say, okay, I believe that because of this and this and this. I wasn't guessing. I make a research for that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maria. So that's all of the questions that we have. I do have to say that we have some uh, people just excited about your presentation and thanking you for that.
Thank
I
you.
also have to say that your family is here. We've had some comments from your parent, your mom, and your abuela. They're so cute. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
presentation, Maja. You're amazing as always, and I love your energy.
Thank you.
Um,
And thank you, Devexperts. Y hola, mamá. Hola, abuela. Las amo mucho. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on to our second speaker. Patricia is already here today, and I actually saw Patricia. So if you don't know, I organized the X-Tech Talks, and I saw Patricia. She was a speaker at one event that we had at our office, TestRail, and I was like, I need her to come speak to one of our events, and it finally happened. Patrícia Duarte, Mateus, also known as the AKA Portuguesa, is a solution architect and QA advocate at TestRail, and she has over a decade of experience in software quality. She mentors testers. She's a very curious person, and today she's ready to share some of her knowledge about leadership. So, Patricia, thank you so much for being here today, and you can take the stage. Okay.
Just a second. Yes, I unmute
Okay.
myself. Sorry. I believe that you are already seeing my screen, correct?
Yes, we are.
Just confirm. Okay, thank you. So first of all, thank you all. Thank you, Devexperts, for this invitation. It was really an honor for me to be invited as an external speaker for this event today, and the opportunity, of course, to share some knowledge, because although we know that we are in a technology field, there are a lot of things, extra technology, that we need to tackle and we need to pay attention to. And also to share some in confidence, last week we had a small presentation and just to do a training. And when I was listening Majo presentation, I was like, if we agreed on a pattern of presentation, we would probably not fit so well. So our both presentations will do a great match. And as you can already know the name of my presentation, Quiet Authority, Lead from Any Seat. And why to talk about authority and why in a quiet perspective? So nowadays, QA is going in a direction of too technicality, too many frameworks, tools, etc., and so on. You can name it. And we ended up not paying attention to the most important asset of all, which is us. So no tools work by themselves. No frameworks bring solutions just because. It needs human support, knowledge, and also investment. So a quiet authority that needs to be worked and developed. And although Maria has already given a brief presentation of myself, just to give also my 2 cents. So I'm Patrícia Duarte Mateus, also known as AKA Portuguesa, the name of a digital project through which I try to bring visibility, explain the importance, and also share some knowledge about software QA. I have a bachelor and master degree in computer science, and I've started to work as a tester back in 2013. I'm currently solution architect and QA advocate for TestRail. So before we dive in the topic, let me just briefly explain my idea for this talk. So most days it feels like we are sprinting on fog. We need to ship faster. We need to explain sooner. And we also need to not forget to prove our value. So there's so much pressure in this such fast-paced world that sometimes it feels like QA, it's a simple check mark in the list of requirements to deliver products to the market. And meanwhile, along all the work that we need to do, we need to keep learning, because we must, to avoid becoming obsolete and behind the tendencies. There's a lot to tackle, right? So that's why I decided that today we will learn to protect our time, capacity, and authority. So we will begin by mapping the weight that we carry and also learn how can we carry it better, keep the track, and respect ourselves. So in Portugal, we say depressa e bem, há pouco quem, which means that deliver something faster in a perfect shape, it's almost impossible. And we also know that pressure without reflection costs more later. Nowadays, it's celebrating the shipping speed, forgetting that speed is different than progress. Priorities changing is a tendency, as the needs can suddenly swap, and many times the highest priority alternate twice a day. QA is pinged after the code freeze to just approve, which thins the trust not only of the person, but also of the professional. And you might say, oh, now we can use AI. Yes, but there's no policy, there's no data rules, and no review standards. And we need to keep learning aside of all of that. So with a short time, training needs to be a weekend hobby, which make me ask, where is the work-life balance? If you reviewed yourself or you feel stretched, nothing is wrong with you. The system, it's really, really noisy. And before I move on, just to bring you to reflection moment and to also prepare you for what is coming after, let me just put you some questions and maybe you will review yourself. And if so, it means that you are not alone. So who's from the audience has been asked to approve with unclear risks? Or who has no protected time to learn? Or even who worries about pushing back without sounding negative? And I know we can't remove the pressure. It's part of the game, but we can change how we respond to it. That's why that we need a simple framework to apply and use when under pressure. The calm loop gives us a script to lower the heat of the room and move decisions correctly based on facts and not emotions. So pause, name, and choose. What does that mean? Let's understand how helpful this framework can be and how can it help us to lead and bring confidence under pressure. Use your voice as a tool. It's important for you to understand. So whenever under pressure, use a low, steady tone. Believe me, calm is contagious, and we QAs are many times who bring visibility and confidence to the table. So please do not be afraid to speak out loud what you think. You are part of the team. But don't flood your speech with metrics. That's for another time. Give one clear sentence. Be concise, be clear and explicit. Who will be impacted? How soon? And how bad? And after you named and identified a problem, it's important to present solutions, clear and applicable ones. How can we put this in work? Let's see an example. You might already have heard something like, we don't have time for these tests. And when you have this calm loop working, you can respond, okay, for this same goal, we have two paths. Reduce the scope now or ship tomorrow with guardrails. Which paints align with our release goal? As you can see, a clear, simple, and precise proposal, straight to the point. It's probably that if you start applying these on your daily basis, you will hear something like, you're blocking. But the reality is that you're not. You are pointing a problem and offering feasible and concrete solutions. You might also face some people that are looking for someone who might take the responsibility if something goes wrong. You might be asked for certainty about what you are pointing and also about the options that you are offering. So keep it factual, not defensive. At this point, just to take a deep breath, so we have already pointed the name that QAs weight on their shoulders nowadays. I've presented you the Calm Loop framework that you can implement on your daily routine. But I've also mentioned that you need to be confident, knowledgeable, and trustworthy in order to achieve all that. So in the fast-paced environment that we work, where the time slips through our fingers, many times we don't have enough time to invest in ourselves. And to our own good, it's important to keep updated and informed of what's happening around us so we can grow personally and professionally in a steady and confident space. So, from theory to practice, how can we do that? Let's begin with bringing the learning mementos to the sprint by implementing a simple principle. Learning is part of delivery, not a side project. And you might ask, yes, but how can I apply that? So 20% of our time would be ideal, but I know how the game is played. And for the baseline, I can suggest to you 5 to 10% of our time. The number is flexible, but the concept should be non-negotiable. And to achieve that, it's important to make it tangible. So you can start with a small compromise, like a 45-minute session per sprint. That must be protected like any other task. By making it small, repeatable, and an on-calendar task, you will make it visible to the team, comprehended and respected. And as we know, sometimes things go off rails and we need to move pieces around. As I mentioned before, sometimes the priorities change more than one time a day. And that's okay to change our daily objectives and the things that we need to do. But do not forget to protect the slot. It's important to your own growth. Track it like work, save a card on your sprint board and a slot on your calendar for this. If it slips once, reschedule, but keep the routine, sprint after sprint. And why? Because rituals build skills, and routines begin with the consistency of rituals, and the trust is built in routines. Believe me, people notice when you're compromised. But why the mention of trust? Trust isn't just a speech. When routines become visible, people will understand how compromised we are with the team and with our own objectives. So people can predict and trust in what they predict. So that brings us the trust ledger, the 3 C's that help us to rebuild the trust of the QAs and in the QAs. The more we know, the best we become when we need to identify an issue and present solutions. So bringing clarity to the table. Save the time to learn, keep the routines that will bring consistency to your professional performance. Be visible and use your voice. Even a no change update builds trust because the team has confidence in you. Be proactive, be proactive. Do not wait for the things to happen. So do not be shy and think that your ideas are not valuable. That's a mistake. Quality, it's a team responsibility. So we are all accountable for that. In practice, after the Calm Loop framework, how can we then apply this trust ledger and keep building trust? Continuing to keep everyone aligned. So make the call because it protects and the check of what you will do next. Language in written or spoken format, it's an important tool and QAs many times are not aware of that. All these that I've been explaining to you, when implemented, brings clear signals of calm leadership, even without a title. You don't need to be a manager or lead a team to implement this. All QAs should have a leader mindset as we lead the quality of the product. And you might think, oh, Patrícia, but that's not true. The leaders are listening. If it's me, a normal QA, that it's part of the team, I will not be heard. My question to you is, are you sure about that? Or it's more like you don't know how to talk to the team and to bring visibility to what you want to spotlight. You need to be brief, specific, and offer choices. You need to know about what you are talking about. You need to be confident. People follow the clearest voice, not the loudest. And if you implement all these ideas that I've been sharing with you, you will become trustful. Because even with all the tools that can be adopted, all the crazy ideas that sometimes we hear about replacements and stuff like that, the truth is that it's crucial to keep humans in the middle. Humans decide. We keep the judgment, the ethics, the strategy, the critical mindset, and the context. That's our value. But that value is built in routines and habits. Our authority depends on our time to study, to investigate, and to share. So breathe, name the risks, offer real choices, protect your time to learn, keep steady and trustful. Do this quietly and consistently, and believe me, you will lead from any seat. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope that you are taking away something practical from today. If you have any other idea, suggestion, or question, you can reach me through any of these social networks. Now I will open space for questions.
Thank you so much, Patricia. This was great. Um, yeah, I mean, as I said, I found you, I saw you, and you're always so good at presenting. So it's not a surprise. I knew, and I have also seen this presentation a few times before, because we practice. We do like 3 dry runs, but still, you're great. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on here today and presenting, and just for doing this great work. We already have some questions coming in. But guys, please feel free again to ask any questions to Patricia. She's here to answer them for a few minutes. We have some comments as well of people just saying, great presentation. So you
Thank you.
know about that. So we have a question. If I give my team 5 to 10% learning time, what should I expect back and how soon?
So this is a good question. And probably it comes from someone that leads a team. And we know that from the leading position, we try to keep everyone on the same spot. And sometimes there's a lack of confidence because we don't know the team or we don't know how everyone works. So first, we need to build trust. And when we agree within the team to bring or to start implementing this learning time, the 5 to 10% to start, and then luckily the 20%, we can adapt or change this to kind of a team working agreement. So protect the time, and it's a thing for everyone. So the development team knows, the external stakeholders knows, the product owners, project managers, everyone knows that there's a time saved for QAs to study. And I will mention QAs, but I believe that this can be adapted to any role or any position. And then we can kind of propose a link of what will be learned and the challenges that team are facing on their daily work. So imagine that there's something that needs to be rebuilt. Which are the best tools? Which are the best strategy? People need time to learn and to investigate and to bring solutions. So we cannot ask for solutions without giving time and space for people to explore. Again, the exploratory testing that we do. So we have an objective and we have a starting point. We need to achieve that. How do we do that? Let's explore. And for that, we need time. And also, it's important because imagine you can be leading a team of QAs that are separated in small other development teams. How can we align the learning that everyone is taking? For example, schedule a call with some cadency one per month, one every sprint, to share what each team member has learned during that time. Because although we can work in different projects, there are concepts that are equal to everyone. So share the knowledge. Do not be afraid to share that, and to also to bring questions to the table. And I think those could be ideas. So align with the objectives, bring visibility to the team and to the group. I think could be something to start for sure. And not be afraid. Give the confidence to the team, and that will be rewarded for sure.
That's great. Thank you. So we don't really have any questions. We have a lot of comments of people just, compliments.
I
Thank
will
you for
read
sharing
them
the book.
all after.
Yeah. There is one comment as that after the end of the sprint, it can be a good time for learning new stuff. So that's nice. So I will just take the moment to ask you a question myself.
Sure.
What do you think, or do you say are the biggest mistakes that QAs make when they're trying to lead without this title that you mentioned?
Okay, so that's a really good question, and many times that comes from the mistakes come from a point where we are still in a learning process. So the junior to entry levels, where we are still understanding the environment. So through because there's a lack of confidence, not only in the person and also in the product or within the team, or with the path that the person wants to develop. Sometimes QAs tend to act, and I'm sorry to say that, but sometimes we act like gatekeepers, and we should not be gatekeepers. So we should not be seen as someone that it's putting ourselves in front of the gate or the door and nothing passed until I say that it's okay. I know that this strategy or way of acting, sometimes it's how QAs can take some advantage of what is going on, but this means that there's a big path to develop backwards. So we need to bring QAs to the beginning of the process of developing and implementing something. So also giving space to QAs to learn, to get confidence, to have a voice. So not only at the end, not only to call the QAs when the code is freezed and now it's time to test. That will turn us as a gatekeepers, and that will do the thing that will make us act like gatekeepers, and that's not good, because we will be seen as blockers, and it's not a thing. So lead without a title. I think that through the presentation today, I shared some ideas, practical ideas, how people can start building and developing their personal and professional way of being, and without much pressure, become a lead.
Thank you so much. That was great.
Welcome.
Thank you again, Patricia, for coming in and for letting us know about your experience and your knowledge. Also, thank you, Maria. Thank you, everyone, also for joining this event. If you want to stay in touch with our events, you can just follow us on social media. We post everything there. We also just open our call for papers for next year. So if you want to be a speaker at a dxTech Talk, just go to our landing page, which is dxTechTalk.devexperts.com, and you can apply there. And I will get in touch with you. So, yeah, thank you all so much for being here. I hope I can see you at our next events. And again, thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Maria. Have a
Thank
lovely
you.
day and evening wherever you're from. And bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you all. See you next time.
Bye. See you next
Bye.
time.